Steven Seagal with 2 Canadian. Drinker was so mean and mocked my fatness and movies. Ah, shut up, you fat fuck.
Hey guys, those in the chat, welcome to, I guess, another episode of No Echo Chambers, where we're going to be focusing in on the latest interview that premiered today on Gothic's channel, I believe, Cancel the Culture, featuring Say No to Rage. I have a sort of great panel, even Gary, and I'm going to bring him out now, starting with the first man to be seen on stream, who is currently going sideways, Night's End. Gary, we have the lovely Kate, Geek Time TV. How are you guys all doing today?
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel old.
Thank you, Gary, for that lovely old.
I'm so old.
Before we get started, you guys don't know much about Lono or the Say No to Rage and this whole cancellation off Twitter. Not Twitter, but Twitch and everything else?
No.
Correct.
Not
No.
everything.
All right, cool. Well, this is going to be an hour-long interview. We're going to just cover our bases like we did with the Gina Carano interview, like those were there. And I suggest we should get into it. So we're going to pop it up here. And here we go.
My name is Gothix. Welcome back to another segment of Cancel the Culture. I am here with a very special guest, Say No to Rage. How are you doing, friend?
I am good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. By the way, is there a name that I should refer to you as, or just a username?
Everybody calls me Lono. Nobody really calls me Say No to Rage. Yeah.
Okay, Lono. We'll do that. Lono.
There you go.
So, so Lono, you are here on this wonderful channel because you have experienced your own situation with cancel culture. But before we get into that, tell everybody who you are. What do you do exactly?
Well, yeah, the channel name is obviously Say No to Rage, and I do a lot of different segments and cover mainly a video game called Destiny, as well as now Destiny 2. And I've been doing like live broadcasting and YouTubing for 6 years now, and was on Twitch for a while there. I would be celebrating, very close to celebrating 5 years of partnership over there if I still had my channel. And so my YouTube just celebrated like the 6 years of when I started. That's actually how I got started. February the 9th, actually, was when I first uploaded a video 6 years ago.
Okay. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you don't have your channel anymore.
Right.
So I guess we could just jump right into it. What happened? And I'm assuming the channel deletion is a part of that.
Yes, it is. So I spent the better part of my 5 years on Twitch streaming Destiny, and got sort of connected and involved in a lot of stuff around that community. And the first year broadcasting, I was trying a lot of different things. And then sort of as I ended my first year and got partnered, I was primarily streaming Destiny pretty much full time. There was a weird instance with me at an event. I got an email from somebody indicating that I had made them feel uncomfortable. And obviously I was sort of shocked and taken aback. I was like, you know, the events were described in a way that I did not recall the events happening that way. And so I kind of tried to apologize, but at the same time was also kind of like, that's not really how I feel like it went down. And then I kind of realized that it was more serious because the event was having like a legal team look at everything, because they were, you know, obviously it kind of felt like a volatile situation. So I compiled everything I could to kind of defend myself, to be like, I feel like this is kind of getting blown out of proportion. This person, you know, had shared a vape with me, and I had a very bad reaction to it and was acting kind of weird. I asked for help and wanted them to keep an eye on me. And in the course of that evening, it was like maybe, I think 30 minutes after, I guess I had made them feel uncomfortable. And I tried to like make it right and apologize, but they also didn't want me to. They told me they didn't want me to apologize. They didn't want me to contact them. And that kind of blew over. Like the legal team basically looked at everything and decided there was nothing to do. And I was obviously wanting to defend myself, because I was like, this isn't me. That they're trying to make it sound like I'm this terrible person.
Can I ask what you did? Or allegedly what you did?
Yeah. So apparently when we got on a bus to go to a movie, I was acting very strange. And I remember acting strange because I tried to speak to somebody before we left, and I was aware that I wasn't making sense. And like I had cold sweat on the back of my neck. I kind of felt nauseous. And so I found the person who had given me the vape, and I was like, can you keep an eye on me? I'm having a really hard time. And on the bus, they alleged that I kept leaning on them and they had to like yell at me to stop. And my memory of it was that I was having a hard time sitting up in the seat. Like I ended up against the window. I ended up bumping the seat in front of me. And then finally I ended up leaning against them and they kind of pushed me away. And after that, like when we got there, they kind of like got off the bus and like put distance between us. And then when I was in line to go into the movie, like my friend asked me, I think 3 times, like, dude, are you okay? What's the matter? Because I was like having a hard time standing up. And so my memory of the event was that was kind of weird. That wasn't like me trying to do anything. It was also me I felt like I was sort of in the position of vulnerability because I asked for help. I was like against a window. Like I didn't follow them or anything. Like they followed me to keep an eye on me because I thought I was having like an allergic reaction to whatever was in it. Like I was having a hard time swallowing. And so I was kind of like, I felt like I was almost like panicking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like my panic and strangeness made them kind of panic and feel like they weren't safe, which obviously I felt bad for. But at the same time, I was like, you weren't in any danger. I wasn't attempting to do anything. I was myself having a hard time. So that event essentially led to that community that I was kind of plugged into with Destiny. Slowly but surely, like every single person just stopped talking to me. The story went the rounds. And everybody kind of heard about it like I was this creep or something.
And during this, where people just kind of distanced themselves from you, was it just a matter of they took someone's word for it and didn't actually have a conversation with you?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
So even the guys who organized the event, so there was a big con at the time. It was called Guardian Con. It has now rebranded to GCX. They were in communication with me. We were at St. Jude and we went there as representatives of this Guardian Con charity drive that they do every year. And so obviously they were looped in on all the emails. Well, when I tried to explain to them like, hey, I have kind of a side here. I don't really feel like that's how the evening went down. You know, they're making it sound like I tagged along. These are things this person has publicly said, by the way. They've said I tagged along and I wasn't wanted. And yet the truth is they invited me like multiple times to dinner, which was weird because we didn't ordinarily hang out. They kept offering me their vape. They were kind of keeping tabs on me, like where I was. It was almost like they wanted to make sure I was with their group, but then they tell everybody they didn't want me there. So I was kind of like, there's something's getting lost in the shuffle here. They were not interested in my side. When I sent them my side and description of the events, they told me I was supposed to send that to the St. Jude legal team, and they didn't want to see it. And then they made it sound like legal was going to decide everything. So when legal tells me, and I recorded this conversation because I'm terrified. I think the culture's so volatile. My career's over. If this goes public, no one's going to believe me. They're going to think I'm this terrible person. And so I stayed after that legal team. I'm like, I would like to talk to you. I want to know what's going on. And when I finally got to speak with them, I recorded it because I wanted it to be clear that I was like facing this, you know, and trying to handle it. And they on that call said, we see no reason to ban you from the grounds or to ban you from events. Like nothing really seems, you know, to have happened here that requires action. Now, they did say that the events are organized by this other guy. They're like, so it's up to him whether or not to bring you back. But like they saw no cause to like ban me. And so when I went to the conference guys and I said, look, you guys are on this conference. You said you were kind of waiting to hear back from legal. They're saying nothing's going to happen. And when that conversation transpired, they kind of let their true sort of, I guess, their true colors show. They were like, well, we don't want you to come to the conference now. We're revoking your creator pass and we don't want you to come.
Huh.
And so I was like, okay. I was like, I thought you were leaving it up to them. Like they're not doing anything. And so can I still come? Can I pay my own way? And they're like, yeah, we can't ban you from the event, but we're expressing to you that we don't want you to come. And I'm like, well, my entire community thinks I'm going to show up. And so I went and it was totally normal and totally fine. Like nobody acted weird toward me. Obviously I wasn't included in anything. They didn't include me in the charity drives or anything. Even now I'm seeing tweets about me that I didn't see when all this happened. And I'm like, and I'm seeing these tweets, 7 months later, and I'm like, but that they're lying about me. That's not how that happened. Like, they claim that I stole a creator badge and then they removed me from a creator area, and then I said I felt like I was being singled out. None of those things took place. I had a friend with me when we were in line. Somebody recognized me and was like, "What are you doing in line?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just waiting to get in." They're like, "No." They take me out of line and they give me a creator badge. And I'm like, "Oh, I just have a normal ticket." So I tried to do the right thing. I was like, "I just have a normal ticket." I pulled it out. I was like, "I have a normal ticket." He's like, No, you're a creator. You get a creator badge." So that's been flipped into I stole a badge, and they claim they asked me to leave a creator area. I never, ever, ever tried to use the badge in like an underhanded way. I was always in plain view. But now the public thinks I'm this weird, creepy guy that like showed up to an event I was banned from. I wasn't banned, and stole a badge and like snuck into areas I wasn't supposed to go to. And it's like, I didn't do any of that stuff.
So that's interesting, because I can definitely relate to you on the aspect of people.
So I'm going to pause it quickly. Does anyone have any thoughts so far? Do you think this is already going down a road of like they already made him the enemy?
Sounds like he was drugged.
That's
actually,
what it sounds like to me.
What hasn't been said, I don't know if it's gone through the interview yet, but he has mentioned that vape pen wasn't a normal vape pen. It was actually a marijuana pen. He's not one to like
That was
do
my
that.
first thought, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know people who've like had reactions because they're not used to getting high, and you do set a panic. You can't sit still. You're touching yourself. You don't know what's going on with your body. So it can set off panic in people, especially if they're not used to that type of
Sure, I've seen people get really paranoid and panic on weed. I've seen
never experienced that. But
In fact, he's a friend of mine on Facebook, and when I was in fake college, and I wasn't a real student. I lived in the dorm.
partied.
I partied with everybody. I went to classes. I'm in the yearbook, and like people are like, "But you weren't a real student." I'm like, "No, I was just hanging out. I had nothing else to do. My dad kicked me out."
That's
But
funny.
my roommate, my fake college roommate, got high one night, and he never gotten high before. And I don't want to say his name on here, but his nickname was Mangy. And he went into an absolute panic attack, and I had to sit up with him. And if he woke up and I wasn't there, he freaked out.
I guess my most of my family are stoners. Like, my dad has the temperament of Hyde from that 70s show, and I'm not even joking. So and I've been told by my neurologist, it's totally okay if you want to use that for whatever things might help.
Yeah, and the more accustomed to it you are, the less you're going to have panic or
Right.
paranoid
And
attack.
I know you can be physically allergic. I have allergies to other things, so I totally get that.
Yeah, that my first thought when he started this whole story was that someone was vaping pot and he had a reaction to it.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I got.
But the
Right.
question is, all the stuff that came after, like, what did they actually plot this out?
It
Like,
sounds
drag him
plotted
like
to
this?
me.
I'm gonna play more of it, but it gets
And that's
crazier.
really what it sounds like to me. Yeah,
Mhm.
go for it, Steven.
Mhm.
People making up their mind without actually going to the source and getting information.
Right.
Because when I was canceled, it was just everyone wanted to hear this person's point of view, but not mine. It was just, nope, don't listen to her. It sounds like you had a lot of opportunity stripped from you because of this situation. There was nothing else. It was just the fact that miscommunication at this original event.
Well, so at the time, that's all I thought had happened.
Okay.
So for 2 years, I get completely ostracized from that community. No one will really talk to me. They'll be friendly at events and stuff, but they won't come on my podcast. I was never invited back to any other podcasts, and they isolated me. I think they thought if they come, if we isolate this guy, he'll just kind of go away. We won't include him anymore, and all these stories are getting spread about me. And I knew the stories were getting spread about me because there would be an event that I wouldn't go to. And I would get unfollowed by people at the event on Twitter because I have like an app I can check that. And
Don't
so
do that. Don't do that.
I know.
It'll mess with you. Don't do it.
Well, and see, this is what happens. Like you don't know who likes you and who doesn't. You start to get paranoid. So I was always sort of nervous that, well, it's going to come out, or somebody's going to basically be like, we hate this guy. We've heard all these stories about him, because I knew they were spreading stories. And this all got confirmed when this blew up, because other content creators came forward and were like, we've heard these stories about him for years. And some of them I had never even heard. I was like, what on earth? Where is this even coming from? So I got really blindsided. So 2 years goes by, where from early 2018 all the way to 2020, and isolating me, I actually ended up growing quite a bit. So, sorry, it's like
no, it's okay. Take your time. Take it. Do you need a break? Need some water?
No,
Okay.
No, it gets, my heart rate gets really elevated talking about it. So, 2 years goes by, and I have massive growth. I get an agent. I get to host E3 main stage with Twitch. That was always like a huge dream of mine. Everything's like going my way. And early 2020, my channel's exploding. Around the time that this happened, I had over 6,000 paying subscribers. I was making well over 6 figures on Twitch. It's how I bought a house for my family. And that made people really angry, because they had sort of heard all these terrible things. They're like, man, why is this creep's got it all? You know, look how well he's doing. Was kind of the mentality. And I always saw subtweets about me. I always knew people would say things, you know, about seeing assholes win, and I saw people, you know, the one girl was like subtweeting about me, and then another girl chimed in and said that she had to reevaluate her like past interactions with me. So, you know, suddenly I have this sense of like, well, that people, I guess, are fearful of me, and they're, you know, they think I'm somebody that I'm not. Now, keep in mind, this entire time I'm in therapy, because when the thing happened in 2018, basically went to my wife and I was like, so I went to this event and I got like higher than I've ever been, and it led to me making somebody uncomfortable. And now she's saying all this extra stuff that I'm confident is an exaggeration. I said, but this is something that happened. And at the time, this was a pattern of self-destruction in my life. Like, I would go to events, I would overconsume alcohol, get very, very drunk. And it was basically, my therapist calls this, is essentially acting out. It's like a form of maladaptive behavior that I had patterned in my life, that through therapy I learned was related to abuse from like when I was 16. So I was raised super conservative. Right. Like, we never really talked about.
All right, before we get in that
sexual stuff,
I'm gonna pause it. You guys have any thoughts so far?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just had a quick question. Like the backstory of this guy, was he like, why would they target him? Like, was he controversial? Like,
it will come up later on, but no, the thing is, he was blowing up on Twitch, right? For the Destiny streamers, that community is like tight within itself, but he was always on the main page. He got verified on Twitter. He just got
a jealousy issue, you think?
This is pretty much a jealousy issue. Now, I'm gonna reshare this soon, but I'm gonna stop it quickly, because what are the people that are doing searches in? I want you to read what what someone retweeted, and I want you to look at this. Now, this is part of the one of the accusers, right? So, can you guys see this, or I haven't added it yet?
I'm not seeing it yet.
All right, there we go. I'll make it a little bit bigger if I can, which I cannot. But why can't I make that bigger? But this is supposedly one of the accusers, and this was popped out 2 years ago. Something happened to me that has not sat right since. I feel I need to share this now so that everyone is aware, and that is not okay. I was at an after party for GC where we were drinking, and I got into an intimate conversation with the man we're actually watching the interview about, Say No to Rage, about our past, religion, family, and coming out. It was loud at the bar. I was very drunk. I was coming out of divorce and felt like I could talk to someone, Lono asked me if I would like to go someplace quieter, like his hotel, away from the group. I did not know what to do. So, okay, first of all, when you hear this is back in June 2020. Does it sound like he's hitting on her? I know it can come across like one, because that is a normal pickup line I've heard before.
right.
But does that sound like he's trying to be understanding so she can have a more like a quieter conversation without background noise, or do you think
there's that possibility, of course? But if he is hitting on her, it's
he's
her
married too.
place to reject it.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to go back to his room.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
I was confused and drunk. I was not a streamer at the time. I was a viewer and
that's
admired
a piss
him.
poor fucking excuse. She chose to drink.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. I admired him and who he was as a creator. I was also very queer, so I got up saying I needed to go to the bathroom. I found a friend at the bar and apparently did not remember this. I was told tonight. Proceeded to cry my eyes out because I didn't know what to do in the situation I was in. I felt vulnerable. My friend got me out of the bar and back to the hotel in an Uber that I lost my phone in, and I missed my flight the next day. That's how drunk I was.
Sounds
now,
like their problem, not his problem.
Yeah.
But now we're going to go on to... It is never okay for a married man to try to take a drunk person like Enviro back to their hotel room alone. This is a dangerous situation that, since she did not know him that well at that point, it could have easily led to an assault or rape if he got her alone. Catch you on that. So this is yeah. Now do you see where their narrative is going?
Yeah.
Thank you.
From right away. Yeah.
And now we have this person saying, I am a survivor of rape. I know what can happen. I'm so happy you got away. So you're automatically assuming that this was this man's intention. Mm-hmm. Here's a narrative forming right here.
Because every man is a rapist.
Supposedly, like, you know, I wouldn't even rape me, man. I see what I look like naked. It's not going to happen. I'd be like, I'll eat a bag of Cheetos. I'm not trying to delight in the situation, but you know what I mean.
No, I guess I'm a minority in this, where I find jokes like that hilarious, but I also love Venture Brothers. So anytime you can't make jokes about that, actually, here's a great joke about that.
But yeah, I'm sorry, but we all have no soul. We're all going to be in hell doing the same streaming video. But okay, so and you're going on, I'm a survivor, blah blah blah. Ever inappropriate is inappropriate. End of. I got you, friend. This sounds like bullshit. Now this is 7 hours ago today from Vicky and Vance. So you, a survivor, accuse a man who did nothing, literally nothing, of an attempt of rape on the ground of
and
can
she
happen
claims
inappropriate.
To be a survivor.
Right.
Yeah.
So
this is the shit right here when it comes to false narratives and how people can twist something.
Oh yeah.
You know, I just watching this. So what, we're 15, 20 minutes into this thing, and it's clear that he seems to be kind of a gentle person.
You should see his live streams every morning, every day of the week, except for the weekends. He is doing live streaming. It's like listening to a radio show. He's like pod radio. I don't know. Kate, have you ever listened to him? Like the way they discuss the games and stuff?
No, not really.
He talks about his kids, his wife. He's very
aggressive at all, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him, but.
And Jedi 6 says she's a woman, which we already know that, because she announces it every time she comes into a room. I wouldn't feel like he was hitting on me. And no, it doesn't sound like he's hitting on her at all. You know that when it gets skeevy, the things that get said, they also try to get physically intimate with women at that point in the bar. So if he's just sitting there listening to her, I wouldn't really take it that was what he was trying to do.
And see, I can understand the both sides of the coins too. Sorry, Geek Time. It's like, it could come across as a hit online, like, hey, you want to go someplace quieter? But you know what? Not everything that you hear in a movie or on a TV show means I'm going to stick it in you.
Right, exactly. And he's
especially if they're gay.
I would think that if it's a loud bar, they have had to say what more than a few times. So naturally, hey, do you want to go over to the corner away from the speakers and the physical bar where it's slightly quieter? Isn't a big fucking deal.
But the other thing that bothers me is, like, why would she be expressing and sharing all this stuff to him that she didn't know very well if she had a friend at the bar that could take her out with no questions given into an Uber?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
kind of baiting him that way.
It sounds like that she was there as a witness for a plant.
It could have been a group conversation that someone left, or again, he's being deliberately set up.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm
No,
well aware that
they do this
what it
shit all the
seems-
time.
Yeah, what it seems like is paid protesters. That's what it seems like.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back into it.
And so when it happened to me, I didn't know who to talk to, and I was like really ashamed. So it ended up being like this suppressed memory. And I didn't even realize I had suppressed it. And so through all of the therapy, through 2 years, it was like my wife's like, you need to get help. Like if you're going to these events and doing this, you're putting yourself in compromising positions. Like, look what happened. Thank goodness we were never alone, because then anything could have been claimed and I would have been powerless to defend against it.
So you had some witnesses there that are...
Yeah, like we were always around people.
Okay.
And there are people coming out saying they saw it happen, but I'm like, saw what happened? Like the story at face value is that I leaned on a person. Like there was no... People have called me all sorts of things. I've been called a predator. I've been called an abuser. I've been called a rapist. There are people that think I belong like in prison because it kind of ran the telephone game of the internet, and I'm I'm this monster. So like when I see all these people saying these things about me, I'm constantly having to kind of process the anxiety with my therapist about I'm blacklisted. Like I got uninvited to an event once, and I'm confident it was because of this. I just suddenly didn't. My invite got like rescinded.
So I just want to make it very clear to anybody watching this. I am not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I don't know anything about this story aside from what you just told me. I myself am I'm a victim of sexual assault. So when I hear something like this, my first thought is, if a situation is serious, why not take it seriously? Meaning go to the police, file a police report. Because in my opinion, when you go to Twitter, I don't look at that as taking it seriously. I look at that as I don't really know how to define it, but in any case, it undermines people who have been sexually assaulted. And it's very frustrating to me because we already have a justice system that...
What she's saying here is so fucking important. And this is something that you and I have talked about before too, in that when these people do this false claims,
yeah,
it absolutely devalues the legitimate claims.
it does.
Yeah.
And they do so much harm, and we want to be believed. Well, proof is essential when you want to be believed. If it's just like, I'm going to say this and you have to believe me, any rational human being is going to say, no, you really need to have some proof.
Yeah, provide some receipts.
But these people are and that she's describing and he's describing are people who conflate this whole idea of ideas as real. Like, oh, he was going to take her to that room and rape her, so therefore now he's actually guilty of rape that he never did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, these are also people who find the word legitimate to be offensive, however. There were a handful of years ago someone discussing what is legitimate rape and was completely lambasted about it. It's like, what do you mean legitimate? Like, yeah, that's a legal term, you idiots. They don't care, though. They go, if it sounds icky, they are going to attack you as if you're nonsensical when they are just projecting their delusion.
Yep. I think that race car agrees. But but before we even do that, just take a look at his face. I know we caught it at a weird time, but
Sleepy.
It's not sleepy.
No, I know.
Does he look happy talking about this?
He's very unhappy talking about it. His heart was racing. Because people think that it's PTSD is the thing. No, before you get the D, you just have PTS, post-traumatic stress. And he is exhibiting this in the interview. The racing of the heart.
The fidgeting.
Just talking about it. Yeah, the discomfort and the not just the physical fidgeting, but you can hear the vocal fidgeting as well. The clearing, pausing, taking breaths a certain way. Yeah, it's obvious that this has had an impact on him on a personal level.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yep.
Here we go.
But he
That
clearly
drags
has
its feet.
he clearly has a pretty awesome wife if she was aware of his discomfort
And kids. Yeah.
well, yeah, but I mean the kids aren't going to be like, Dad, what the hell's wrong with you? They're probably not old enough. But if his wife was like, you're making really bad choices and you should probably find out why, that is, you know, he got himself a winner, so good for him.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kate. That she's behind him and looking out for him like that. Because if he was doing this alone, who knows what could have happened to him?
Yeah, that's true. And the fact that all these women who are clearly the opposite of his wife are the ones attacking him, it probably makes her feel really insulted as well.
Yeah, the
And
other thing
just
I
as-
wanted
I'm
to
sorry.
quickly, sorry, it's okay. There's really I also wanted to add when we were showing those tweets earlier. Didn't you know the other thing that was kind of funny? That girl that was making the claim saying, I was fearful for my life that he whacked me into a hotel room, but you still had no problem going to the hotel room with the other person that you lost your phone with, who you couldn't even call emergency services because you lost your phone with at all, who could have been the actual predator. You don't even understand what you're only saying. You're just like, this. How can you judge a person based on one sentence, but yet you're going to your hotel room with an Uber to someone else?
You know, that's a good point, Stephen, because she mentioned that she was so drunk she hardly remembered anything. So people were telling her what happened. So the whole thing could be bullshit. The whole thing.
You're welcome to come back, Nightsen. That's always the case. But like, this is why I like covering when it comes to cancel culture, because it's not just in our movies, like let's say Gina Carano or Johnny Depp. It's everywhere, and it's not even about the truth anymore. It's about, I need that person's popularity. I need that person's money because I think I deserve it, even though I'm not working as hard as this person does. And he's busted his ass. Getting on a TwitchCon main stage to help present, dude, that's no small feat.
No.
Do you have anything else to add before we go, or are you all good?
No, I'm good.
When it comes to things like this. So I feel like it's just further exacerbating the problem because we have folks that want to go to Twitter to express their grievances and stuff like that. It's gotten to the point now wherever I see some type of claim of sexual assault or something, if I don't see a police report attached to the thread, I ignore it.
Amen.
I have to ignore it because you never know. I'm not taking any sides here, but this is just how I see it. It's going on Twitter doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. And the fact that you were essentially exiled, just ostracized from the community space and not given an opportunity to speak is a common symptom of cancel culture that I hear all the time. It's just, nope, don't want to talk to you. We've already made up our mind. And about the fact that you started seeing some success after the whole situation and people still bringing it up. I hate seeing, bad people win. Let me tell you, even today, I had people on Twitter yelling at me because they're looking at my subscriber count and they're rehashing old accusations. It's like, let it go.
That's what's frustrated me so much about it is that I always had said, initially I panicked and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But in the aftermath, I've always said, like, can we go through an actual legal process? I want that. Like, I want this to be looked at and investigated. I'm happy to do that, to submit to a formal process because I know the truth. I know what did and did not happen. And vague claims were made and then super big labels were used. Like
Now, I'm going to stop it there. If you were a liar and you weren't what people were accusing you of, would you be adamant to go through legal procedures?
No, they would not.
Anyone else? Would you guys go through legal procedures if the accusations were true?
No, probably not. No.
Mm.
I don't. Well,
I mean,
It's a hard question.
yeah, it really is.
I would say that there's a reason why Project Veritas has won all their lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to point out, though, like my buddy Shane Moore, as well as myself, when we go to cons, because I used to do a lot of cons as a comic book artist. And I prefer to go with my wife. I don't want to go if she can't go. My buddy Shane Moore, best-selling author, refuses now to go to any cons because of all this Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrified of having allegations made.
One hug and you're
hurting,
done.
It's hurting the con circuit. because there are people that are talents, artists, etc., that are refusing to go now because of this shit.
It's at that point, like it's like look at Vic McDonough for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Oh, Vic, yeah, I know Vic.
Yeah.
The one girl, I made a remark once at a Christmas party. I told her I can get inappropriate when I get drunk, which is actually pretty true for lots of people. And I would make inappropriate remarks and jokes. It was just something that I was prone to, and that was all I said. And she claimed that that was me harassing her, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, we were all friends sitting around talking, like, but that's what would happen. Like, they would make a vague statement or a claim, and then it would get turned into predator monster. Like, they go to the label, so it's like they jump to the conviction based off of like a very sort of generic story where nothing truly happened. We have public admissions that they did this in response to my success. They will claim that's not why, and yet they made public declarations that they planned this for 2 weeks. And it was because I got verified on Twitter, I had a rise in prominence on Twitch, and I had gotten a new contract with this company, Advanced GG. These were reasons cited off like bullet points in a PowerPoint presentation. And now they'll tell you that's not true. Well, I mean, the minute I gave all those pieces of footage to my lawyer and I lost my Twitch account, a platform which they were in direct competition with me, he was like, you now have a case. He's like, because you've lost your main source of income. And I can't afford it, is what happened ultimately. Mm-hmm. He was like, we're doing subpoena of discovery right now on a business. He's like, it's millions of lines of text from every email ever sent. He's like, it's thousands upon thousands of man hours. He's like, you're looking at easily tens of thousands of dollars just to get started. He's like, and then that's just sort of step one. Mm-hmm. I spent close to around $5,000 just to meet with him, talk with him, compile everything. And I did send 2 cease and desist to people who were doing sort of call to action. They wanted me banned from Twitch. They were campaigning. One was a guy, one was a girl. I did not send cease and desist to anybody who shared their story. That's not what I did. There's been claims made about that. That's not true. I sent cease and desist to one guy and one girl who spent a week wanting me banned, because when I indicated that I had planned to tell my side of the story, it was like suddenly they panicked and they wanted me silenced. Like,
of course they did. Okay. Sorry for laughing, because of course they did. So I want to cycle back. You said that people were sharing their story. How many stories would you say you read, and were they just like, I felt that he was like this, or like, explain the stories?
So the night this all breaks, there's a guy who sends a subtweet that's like, everybody thinks this guy's a creep, but there's an even bigger creep at the top of the Destiny directory. And I knew it was about me. Every time I had a lot of success, this would happen. Mm-hmm. There would be subtweets, and it always gave me, like, I would have these weird like heart flutters, tons of anxiety. I think, here it comes. They're gonna end me. And people were like, out him, drag him. Who is it? And the guy was like, it's not worth it. And Dr. Lupo was like, it is worth it. Like, he encouraged this to happen. He has, over 1 million followers at this point in time, and pushes for it. He's kind of Twitch's poster boy. And so I know as soon as I see that, I'm like, it's probably coming. Whatever's going to come out, whatever stories have been circulating about me are going to come out. Now, for me at this point in time, I'm only aware of the one time, the girl who sent the email that was like, you made me uncomfortable at the St. Jude thing. That's all I'm aware of as being like, what could possibly happen right now. And so I tell my wife what's going on, because she's well aware of it. We've obviously been monitoring it, and we're obviously very, she won't even go on Twitter anymore. It's just too much. It's too much anxiety. Because we literally had just bought a house, and we're like, oh man, everything's going our way. Look at all the success. And I told her, I was like, this is getting tweeted about right now. And my mods were in Discord. They're like, here we go again. Every time you have a big day, they got to start subtweeting about you. And the first girl decides to like set it on fire by saying, you know, I wish I could just play The Last of Us 2 tonight, but I can't help remembering, I'm going to butcher the tweet, but I can't help remembering the time a prominent streamer's hand was on my thigh for an entire card game and then asked for sex. And so I saw that and I immediately looked at my wife and I was like, wait a minute, what? Like, I remember what she's talking about, but that's not how it happened. And I'm thinking, I don't understand. We were friends after that. Like we hung out the rest of that trip, and she was always in my channel, rated me, was always tweeting about how she wished we lived in the same city and could hang out. Like, I was like, we were friends. What is this? Why is she even saying this?
So really quick, when that happened, when that supposedly happened, did she try to address it then, or just?
Yeah, she joked about it because it was like, it was not a physical touch that was initiated by me. Like, I was standing, we were playing Mafia. We weren't really playing a card game. We were playing Mafia. And I was standing with like my hands on the edge of the table, and she came over and sat down and she slid her leg over and against the back of my hand. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like this. Everybody's drinking. I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of somebody suddenly touching you. Mm-hmm. And I left my hand there, which I'm married. I should have just admitted like, oh, here, hang on, I'm in your space. I didn't do that, but that was it. I didn't think anything of it, and I didn't ask her for sex. She was there with her girlfriend. They were a part of my community. They came to my meetup later. A couple days later, after we get back from the conference, she tweets at me, says like, oh, I wish we all lived in the same city so we could hang out more. They raided my Twitch channel. They played games with me. So I never once thought of that as an instance where like I did something wrong and made somebody uncomfortable. So when I see that tweet, I look at my wife and I was like, what is going on? I was like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. So I'm immediately disoriented and terrified that this person just said this. And this is supposed to be, I guess, the starter pistol. Like, you know, drag this guy. He's a creep. So before she even sends that tweet, I was using that app, that unfollow app on Twitter. And everyone in the community was unfollowing me. It was like they all knew that it was coming. Wow. And I remember going into the mod chat, I was like, 15 people just unfollowed me, another 20, another 10, like just batches of people were unfollowing me that I was mutually following. That's why it stood out. I saw like the mutual check mark of follow. And so I'm like, I've got a beer in my hand ready to watch X-Files with my wife. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do we do? What I don't know what to do. And my Discord's going crazy. My DMs are blowing up. People are sending me mean pictures and mean statements. So I'm like scrambling to shut down DMs on Twitter. I have to scramble to shut down DMs on Instagram. People are leaving my Discord. My mods are confused because they're like, what's going on? And I don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't know. So my wife's trying to calm me down, because I go from like, I felt like I was going to throw up to like manically almost like sobbing like a child. Like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, because people were just unfollowing me. I was like, I don't know.
I'm going to stop there right there because I've been in that exact emotional state. That's panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally at the brink of having like a reality of, I don't know what's going on, but everyone seems to be coming at me from all sides and without an explanation why, all because of a statement.
It's pretty terrifying, and it begs the question, is like, why did they coordinate this attack on him?
So you do believe it's coordinated at this point?
It seems it, doesn't it? Like he said, he was like, some people were like almost instantly started.
Well, the reason why I'm not putting my 2 cents worth in is because I like having people who don't know the situation give their perspective, because you're coming in with fresh eyes.
Right.
I can say yes or no, but I don't want my bias to sway what you guys are seeing. And this seems like it's been planned.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just it's too bizarre to be coincidental. I mean, coincidence takes a lot of planning, you know?
Yeah. But that's crazy. Gary's still at potty, so we'll go.
What to do. And she and one of my other mods were like, the best thing to do would be just to face it and just like try to own what you've learned from therapy, that, you know, you could make remarks and statements that are inappropriate, but like also I'm not like a dangerous like person. Like I just went to these events to hang out with people. So it took about an hour for the whole thing to run. I was trending, Say No to Rage was trending in North America. It was a trending term on Twitter because Dr. Lupo retweeted it, and that was essentially like a nuclear bomb. He had like 1 million followers. He retweets it.
Wow. I think that for the most part, anyone that deals with cancel culture, it's going to be a traumatic experience, especially if it's the first time. And I thought mine was pretty bad, but I didn't have a creator as big as Dr. Lupo retweet on my situation. So I can only assume it was 10 times worse than mine.
I couldn't even interact with some of the apps because stuff was coming in so fast. Like the app was like locking up. I was trying to shut down DMs. I had to do it on my laptop.
Yeah.
Because it was constant. I've not really retold. I've never actually retold how that all went down. It was like really, really hard because I didn't,
Jesus Christ.
like my wife was attached to the situation.
I'm getting
where,
panicked
like,
just
I had to,
feeling
like
it.
lean on her for stability. I was like, I'm coming untethered here. Like I don't know what to do. And I was just trying to stop the messages from coming in. Like that was sort of the first thing that I was trying to stop.
So you are obviously still bothered by it, and you said that you're going through therapy and stuff like that. So how is it going as far as the progress? Are you in a better spot now than you were before? Or is it kind of the same?
I mean, it comes and goes. So like the week of Thanksgiving, I actually went to the hospital because I actually had a coronary spasm. And I've since had 3 or 4 CT scans, a stress test, and they did some kind of a special scan before and after the CT scan. And I've racked up a nice big huge hospital bill. Even though I have insurance, coronary spasms can be brought on by stress, and I didn't properly process a lot of the anger and a lot of the sadness. Like I just tried to put on like a strong face and keep providing for my family and streaming on YouTube. And so my therapist was like, maybe we haven't properly sort of visited and processed just how angry and upset you are.
They are
shut
Jedi.
it down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So even today, he calls it a psychosomatic response. Like if I check Twitter and I see people talking about me and saying things that I'm like a predator or whatever, my blood pressure spikes. I can feel it. Even right now, I can actually feel my own heartbeat in my chest. And I knew that was going to happen when I agreed to do this, and that's okay. So it comes in waves. It comes and goes. Where I feel like, okay, I feel better, but at the same time, grieving the loss and accepting the loss, it's been sort of like a month-by-month thing. I lost essentially a 6-figure business that I couldn't like replant somewhere else. If I wouldn't have been able to sort of recover on YouTube, we would have likely lost our house that we just bought. I have 2 children, 7 and 5. And I would have had to tell them, you know, we have to pack the house up that we just moved into. So it's sort of like it's always there. If you've ever been like walking through your house and you think you see something like out of the corner of your eye, it's like it's always there on the edges of like being sort of marked and like the public sort of shame and like the labels. So it's sometimes it's like it almost like it presses in, sometimes it's better. And everything is wrong that I do. So even getting emotional right now gets construed as like manipulation. So like you can't do anything right. It's still like an ongoing process that like I revisit with the therapist. It causes my wife anxiety, but like at the same time, I want the truth to come out. Like I want people to realize that I'm not this person that they think I am. And but then I feel like I'm being selfish. I'm worried about public perception of me. I should be worried about her. And so like there's like an internal sort of like battle of fight.
All right. So anyone have any thoughts? Because
Yeah,
I gotta
so
pause him. I
many.
gotta pause him. I gotta pause him right now because I'm feeling for him.
Yeah, you're getting that empathy thing, and you're also connecting with it because those of us who have PTSD are watching this guy doing what we do when it manifests.
It's like we're trapped in a corner.
Yeah, and if you listen to him, like the way he breathes, he really does feel trapped in this conversation.
Yeah.
But he's handling it very well. Very
I wouldn't say
graceful.
it's the conversation. It's just it's the situation and retelling the situation and reliving the situation.
Well, that's it. That's
Yeah.
what happens with PTSD is
Yeah.
you
Oh,
relive
no,
it.
I get that. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. This is what it's like dealing with narcissistic sociopaths, and like my parents are narcissistic sociopaths. So anytime that I do anything that is inconvenient, that's literally how I respond, and I shut down, and it's fun
Yes.
for like weeks.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
They're
Yeah,
tough.
no.
I think yours and my idea of fun is like totally different there,
That
Kate.
was obviously sarcasm.
I know.
We know that. We're being sarcastic with you.
Hey, I totally agree with you. I deal with a person like that, and when the email shows up, I get like you get that anxiety. Like I don't even want to read it.
Yeah.
Who's okay?
That's
Sorry.
me. I'm sorry.
And
It's okay.
It's holding crap.
yeah, and I think that the claustrophobia this poor guy feels, like he said,
Yeah.
he feels like the walls are closing in, and
Yeah.
when he tries
Yeah.
to explain himself, he gets vilified for it, and there's just no right answer to this.
There isn't though, because when you're put in this predicament, it comes to the point that if you're emotional, you're trying to use emotional manipulation. They'll use that as a tactic.
Right.
If you're numb and look like a blank wall or a slate, you're looked at as a monster because you're not showing an emotional thing. So no matter what you do, like he says, you're going to be wrong. And the way he's fidgeting in the chair, he's fidgeting with his shirt. But there's another thing that we kind of missed or didn't touch on when he started talking about his kids. He started to smile, and that is his therapy memory in a way that helps him realize that
That's
not everything can be wrong because his kids are something right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a father too, and your kids give you that inner strength to push forward because you're doing it for them, and that's part of the bigger issue here too. That these cancel culture freaks don't understand. They think that they're taking him down, but they're affecting his children.
Yeah, they're hurting other people.
Right.
Exactly.
There's a ripple effect that they don't really care about because they can't see past their own agenda.
No, because they're narcissistic sociopaths. They aren't capable of that. They live in their own convenient little bubble, and they
Right.
surround themselves with people who are the same.
Right. So these virtuous, so-called virtuous, air quotes I'm using, people
Mhm.
don't care about putting two kids out on the street.
Oh, they do care. They do care when they suit their agenda, like you said. When those kids supposedly fall into whatever category that they pretend to give a shit about, then they care so
Then they care.
much. But no one can beat how much they care.
Right.
They're just, they're psychopaths.
Can you use that voice, Kate, quickly and say Care Bear Stare?
Which voice? The one that's super sarcastic.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. Let's go Care Bear Stare. Come on.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, it was being
I
serious.
don't know if I can. I don't know if I can mimic that again.
Okay, fine. Then we'll wait till later till sarcastic Kate comes back.
Okay.
But people in the chat, thank you for actually sticking around and watching. I do appreciate it. And the panel, you're okay.
Because some people have taken interest and they're sort of investigating it because they're like, a lot of this. I was basically the catalyst to like 200 some odd claims coming out about other people in the industry last summer. I was the first person.
I recall that.
So my stupid dumb face is on all these articles. My hair's really long then, but this background's the same.
Mm-hmm. I remember that because I have a personal friend that was caught up in that, and it was a false allegation, and they were prepared to pursue it legally. So that's why when I hear stories like yours, I think of my friend's situation, like what if that person didn't have the financial backing to even do that in the first place? Like what, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what happens then? If I just look at this from the perspective of due process in an actual courtroom, there's, you know, a sentencing with a duration, right? So you, since June and losing all of your, basically your livelihood, I'd argue that that is actually worse than the actual accusation. Because in my eyes, if someone were to lean on me, you know, as if in your situation, I don't think that they should lose their income, lose their house, lose their career over leaning on me. I would say that now, if I were to pursue all of that to make sure that this person isn't able to pay their bills, I would look at myself as the aggressor at this point, personally.
Right. Well, and they wanted that. Many of them said he needs to find a new career. One of the guys who runs the con, King
Hold on.
Gathalion.
I'm going to pause that before we get into the Gathalion. Wade, your comfortability is for streaming is going to be based on how much comfortable you want to show yourself. Just because you want to be a streamer doesn't mean you have to show your face. I don't show my face. I wish Gary wouldn't show his face, but wait, it's different points of the coin. But there we go. There's your erection killer right there. But at the same time, don't base on these types of stories on how it should affect what you want to be as a streamer. If you don't want to show your face, that's cool. If people have a problem with it, guess what? It's not their channel.
Right.
Just do what you feel comfortable doing if you want to become a streamer. Don't let situations like this, these are extreme situations, ever mismanage what you want to do. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Said he needs to find a new career. One of the girls said he can bag groceries for all I care. It's like he's at one point said something to the effect of, he's a white man, he'll be okay. Like I guess I don't know where I'm supposed to cash that card in, but
Wow.
it was like I lost a 6-figure business. I didn't like get fired and I can take my resume over somewhere else and start making comparable income. Keep in mind, this is in the middle of a pandemic. I'm telling my wife, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, so I just go, am I going to have to get a regular job? Like, how am I even going to do that? Like, what is it even going to look like? And how am I going to earn comparable to what we need to survive? And they were adding my sponsors. They were adding my agency. They celebrated when the sponsors dropped me. It never came across as like, this guy wouldn't leave them alone and they finally had to say something. It was, he's being too successful. Like,
right.
We don't like that. We don't like how successful he's being. And so financial pain and loss of everything was justified because I'm this predator. So the night it happened, I record an apology and I try to sort of say, look, I was a damaged person. I'm sorry I made people uncomfortable, but I wasn't a danger. Like, and everyone hated that apology because like they said it was alligator tears and people claim that like men can't be raped and stuff. Which, as someone who had to process my own abuse, my own sexual abuse, and learned that I had suppressed it and learned that suppressing it created 20-something years of maladaptive behavior and relational self-destruction and all these things. It's like, to have that like doubted, mocked, or jeered. They misrepresented my therapy. They made it sound like I was in therapy because of what they claimed I did. And it's like, that's not why I was in therapy. So they misrepresented even like my mental health journey. And so I delete that apology because I'm like, everyone hates it. Like my poor wife, she's like falling asleep on the couch. It's like 2 a.m. by the time I realized I need to like try to re-record it. And I sat in my office. I didn't eat or sleep. I just stayed up all night, all through the night. I recorded video after video and it just never worked. It was like, I'm trying to apologize to stop the bleeding. And so people will, like you want it to stop. You're like, I'm watching my sub counts, my follower counts, everything's just plummeting. It's like a free fall.
Mm-hmm.
But I also felt the need to defend myself. Like in both of my apology videos, I'm in duress, I'm panicked. And even then I kind of had the presence of mind to be like, man, I didn't assault. They were saying I assaulted people. I was like, I didn't assault anybody. I didn't harass anybody. Like even harassment by definition, like there was never any persistence, like one remark, one time, one joke or something, and then that's the end of it. They didn't have any proof. If they were asked, you know, do you have any evidence? They would be like, well, testimony is evidence. That was their comeback. And I said, you know what? Testimony is evidence in a court of law. Let's take it there. I'm happy to go into an actual legal proceeding here because I've lost everything. Like the magnitude of what happened to me should require a proper process.
Right.
It's not like I lost a contract with a company and I lost a couple $1,000s, and I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars and could have put my family like in a destitute situation. So the magnitude of that pain and that harm to my life requires due diligence, and nobody wants that. Like this independent investigation, there was a woman who was looking into another guy that was accused of rape, and it wasn't covered by a lot of the news outlets. And she's trying to expose the fact that this guy's been sort of insulated and protected by journalists who won't, like, I guess, report on what happened to him. And she came across mine, and she diligently read through all the claims and accusations. And she's like, this guy lost everything over, she calls them made me feel accusations. She's like, nothing actionable took place, no assault, no harassment. These are just made me feel accusations, and he's lost everything. And he's been labeled as a predator. I'm an industry pariah. Like I lost like every friend that I formed a friendship with over the 5 years, all my colleagues, all the people that I looked up to and got to host with at Twitch, like everybody just unfollowed me.
Those aren't friends. Those aren't friends. Can I give you some advice? I want to give you some advice. Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I mean, I don't know if you know my story. I've been canceled on Twitch so many times at this point. Like the original love that I had for the platform is gone. It's just I am very jaded by the Twitch community. Yeah. And one thing that I have learned is that you cannot reason with these types of people. An online mob, you cannot reason. They will never be satisfied. And the first mistake I think you made was apologizing. And once you apologize, they think that they can just get away with pushing you around and getting you to do what they want. So in your case, if you really wanted to apologize for leaning on someone, you could have had that apology directly with that person. The rest of the world didn't need to be a spectacle, because that's signaling to the mob to just do whatever. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, stop looking for the tweets. Don't look at the tweets. Don't look at the tweets.
Right. Like, I think I've gotten to a point where like I see through sort of the veneer and the facade of all of it. It's all fake. All the virtue is fake. It's for clicks. It's for impressions. You believe lies about social media and about importance and and like, does it give me value? Does it mean I'm better or living a more fulfilling life? It's so easy to fall into those traps and believe those lies. Like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook is just, it's like quicksand. Yeah. Before you know it, you're falling into this idea of like, oh, I need these people's approval and everything. So
much to unpack.
Yeah, I do think Twitch went downhill when Amazon bought it. That was a horrible move.
I have never ever used it. I'm glad I never did.
Same.
It was a lot of fun early on, or like early on.
Well, that can be said about Twitter and Facebook and all.
Yeah, everything was fun before it became corporate.
Yeah, they get taken over, and
well, it becomes a norm. It becomes a cliche, and people end up pretending, putting more effort into pretending into just being.
Right. Yeah, I feel bad for this dude. I really do.
Yeah. Somehow my mic just muted for no reason, so I was trying to figure out why. But YouTube's the same way.
Oh yeah.
YouTube, you have people that you might look up to, channels you might watch. Some of them are genuine, and some of them are just a showman. When as soon as they get off the air, they're not what you think they are, and it sucks sometimes. Whether it be Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, when that reality is broken, it makes you realize how much energy not only you've wasted in trying to get to know these people and get them to acknowledge you, that they're not the people that you wanted to be acknowledged by.
Right. I think the saddest part of this story is when he was talking about, he worked hard to build up his entity on Twitch and get to the point where he was monetized to 6 figures. And these people just tear it down. And, all these people that go after people like that and just want to tear things down. I'd like to see a list of their accomplishments.
Oh,
What have they created? What have they accomplished? What are they contributing back to society themselves?
Jealousy.
Nothing.
Well, I've found that a lot of people who are critical of other people or things tend to not have done shit themselves.
Right. It's
And
one of the 7 deadly sins is envy, right?
yeah, and it's an ugly, ugly hat to wear. And I've never reacted to it well. I was at a Kansas City convention once, and some guy walked up. I was doing a commission for a Hellboy sketch, and I was doing it in the style of Mike Mignola. And the guy walked up and he started just trashing Mike Mignola, not knowing that I'm friends with Mike Mignola. And so when he was done with his diatribe, I said, "What the fuck have you done?
Yeah.
What have you done? Show me. Go back and bring a book here that you published. No, don't have anything. Move along." And that just irritated the shit out of me. But that's the mindset you deal with even this cancel culture. Is they like to sit in judgment,
Right?
And haven't done or contributed anything else other than their judging.
They don't have a sense of self. They don't.
No.
They don't know how to achieve.
Despite
that
being
because-
complete narcissists,
right?
that
but
you're
that's the
right.
thing.
It's weird.
Being a narcissist doesn't mean you have a sense of self. That just means you're full of yourself. That's not the same thing.
What if you have a big dick and you put it in your hands? Is that still full of yourself, or is that narcissism?
Well,
I
you've
don't
got
have a
2
chance
hands,
to
so
answer that.
I would think that second hand is required for that to be true.
I'm just trying to break it with jokes because Care Bear stare.
Okay. No, I think it's funny. I think it's funny when people get all worked up because they don't understand how to do anything. Because they either are some trust fund brat or because they have some convenient, cushy corporate job. And people who actually make things confuse them.
I think a lot of it, Kate, and I've beaten this to death, is we've been handing them trophies for doing absolutely nothing for 20 years. And I think that's a huge part of it.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of generations of spoiled people. So I think it's just kind of got to the point where where it's just expanded. It's like a family tree of spoiledness. So that's not really a trophy thing. That's just a lot of affluenza.
I love that word ever since it got created, affluenza.
Is there a vaccine for that?
It's absolutely true. But because they have everything that they ever need right away in life, whether it's because they're told to go to school for this and get a job with daddy, or they happen to just know the right people, they don't create things. They don't understand the mentality of creation.
Right. So we need a vaccine for the affluenza.
I don't even know if I ever want to start tweeting again. People think that I should. I sent one generic tweet. I forget when this was. I don't even know. It might have been August or September. It's a super generic tweet about, hey, for the people that still follow me and support me, I might start putting some things back on here again. And I spent the entire weekend getting harassed. I had to block like over 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, I guess I don't go back on Twitter because it's so destabilizing. It's like you think you're in a better headspace, you think you're in a better place, and like the smallest thing, like all of a sudden I have like this internal dissonance of like, I see people talking about me and saying mean things or terrible things. And so I end up falling back down into preoccupation. You know, my therapist is like, you get really preoccupied with this. Like, you got to break that cycle of preoccupation. But it's hard not to, because we have that natural inclination to defend ourselves. So it's like, it's really difficult not to just go on there and scorch the earth. And I didn't lose my Twitch channel until I defended myself. That was the other thing that really caused me to recoil. It was like July 2nd, I think. So this all comes out June 20th. July 2nd, you said I shouldn't have apologized. A lot of people think that. My apologies made me look weak. And they all went on like victory laps on their streams and started sharing all these stories.
So do you have any plans of stopping content creation? You want to keep going with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Like, I don't know, like, I've even getting kind of bumped to YouTube, I've kind of realized, like, okay, there's things over here I can do that are better than what I could do over there. We've kind of reinvented some things. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I just feel like it's the way that I'm wired. Like, it sort of allows me to do all the things I feel like I'm good at and things that I love. And people really seem to enjoy what I do. So yeah, that's the big conundrum, right? Is being viewed by the public is already hugely challenging and taxing for your mental health. It can be taxing on your relationships. Like, I've sacrificed a lot over the years to build this. But then at the same time, I'm like, would I be satisfied doing something else? I don't think so. Like, this is where, like, I feel like this is just sort of a part of my journey in human flourishing, is to do something where, I was talking about it just today, where people were talking about, like, the difference of a normal traditional job and a content creator job. And I said, well, content creators, I said, you know, I'm working 80 or 90 hours a week. Like, there's a beautiful simplicity to clocking in for 40 hours. You get a steady paycheck and health insurance and all that. And I was like, everything's on me. It's all on me. And so I've had mental breakdowns. Like, I sit in front of the television with my wife and I'm getting everything ready for the next day. And all of a sudden she catches me, like, she calls it zoning out, or like I kind of go somewhere else. She's like, what's the matter? What are you doing? And I'll just, like, fall to pieces. And I'll be like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can handle this. And I'm like, I'm crying. And I'm like, it's all on my shoulders, you and the kids and the house. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can stay in front of it. And, like, she has to like physically grab onto me, but, like, you got to calm down. Like, it's basically like a full on anxiety attack.
I'm going to decide for you. I'm going to take an executive decision and say, no, you're not going to stop.
Okay.
And I've had those same exact thoughts, because I used to work in corporate America, customer service, my entire adult life. And, you know, I've had those thoughts after my run-ins with online mobs. Maybe I should just go get a regular job, you know, it'll be a lot easier than that. No, because the reason that I asked if you want to keep doing that is, with you going and looking for these messages, and even looking at every time someone unfollows you, you are giving them what they want, because you are self-sabotaging the one thing that I think helps you succeed in your field, which is your mental health. It's your brain, right? It's the mindset. And you even said it yourself. I think there is something to be said about the fact that you couldn't get money out of these people if you were to take them to court, because you are more successful than them. I think there's a lot that goes into just your mindset, your mental toughness, your drive, that tunnel vision. And I think that instead of sabotaging it, you should just try to protect it as much as possible. So that would, in my opinion, get rid of that app. Get rid of it. Don't look for the messages. You see a subtweet, get out of it. Don't look at it. I don't even go on my homepage anymore on Twitter. I don't. I leave it alone. Because at the end of the day, I know that I'm just going to keep focusing on it. And you can get 200 amazing comments about you, but you're going to focus on that one jackass. I can relate so much to how you feel, because I thought that I was, you know, I got canceled. I took a month off, came back, put on a fake smile. I said, I'm ready to do this. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I just went back into that depression. And it was like, okay, stay offline for 3 months, come back for a month, back to that depression.
Sorry, what was that?
I got a point. So when how do you say his name? Lono?
Lono, Lono. Lono.
Okay. I don't know why I think it's a D. I don't know.
Lono, Brazilian.
Lono. When he started talking about how he's pushing through this and all that, and he started to actually sit up straight, and his demeanor's changing, and now that he's nodding as Gothics is saying this, is fascinating because men only nod when they agree, whereas women nod when they're listening. So that's a very interesting thing. So they other than like all the editing jump thingies, which I get that they want to keep this tight, and you can see that his demeanor completely changes from fighting these panic attacks to saying, yes, I'm doing this. This is just, I'm going to finish this thing. And that's good. That's good. And I suppose whatever parameters he set up with this conversation, I'm sure the goal was to get to that point saying, yes, there's better people out there and there's nothing wrong with that smaller group.
I think she's
smaller.
She's got a really healthy perspective too, because she's been through it. So
yeah,
kind of being like basically a little support system for him here.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's a different kind of interview because it's saying, "Hey, this happened to me too. Let's talk about it."
Right. I love how polite she was, saying basically that these people are broke, so stop.
Yeah, yes. I love how she says assholes. There's just the perfect like New England accent.
Anything else, or should we continue?
You can go. I don't know.
And it's a process, but it also takes a lot of self-control to not have me go and look at what other people are saying about me, because that's the first thing. It's you have to understand with these types of people, they want the attention. So when you go out of your way to look for it, it's like, yes, he's doing what we want. That's going to keep him preoccupied instead of making content. And yeah, you're going to have people that still criticize you because the bad guy is getting successful. Screw them. Screw it.
Right.
You can only control what you can control, and you can't control what other people think about you. Some people do not like me on Twitch. I am okay with that. I don't think this cancel culture is going to curb it all or slow down until people start being held accountable for it. Because you know how people like to say that, oh, cancel culture is for accountability, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say I was in your situation and I had a financial backing to do it. Get the people that threw me under the bus and sue them for defamation or pain and suffering. Because right now there's no accountability. People can just fabricate things and be, oh, well, not my problem. Any advice you would give to someone that is currently going through cancel culture, or maybe even more specifically with like a Me Too situation?
The first thing I would say is something that the night I lost the channel, my therapist told me. He said, "You're going to be okay. We don't know what okay looks like, but you're going to be okay." And I think that's like a really good thing to kind of like continue to say, like, loss of job, loss of finances, it happens to everyone. That doesn't minimize what you're going through, but you're gonna be okay. Like I got through this. I'm on the other side of it. My wife and I are probably closer than we've ever been. We almost feel like we kind of like got tried by fire. And every once in a while we kind of have those moments of like, wow, like we're closer because of this. Like that's a good thing that came out of it. And so I kind of had to hold on to that, because you don't feel like you can hold on to much when it's happening to you. Everything feels like fog. Like you lose your friends, people you thought your friends. You lose. You know what you really everything. Should do? But if you can hold on to something like this,
Hold on.
Is brag about having an awesome wife, because that'll really piss people off. Not that he has the personality that would do that, obviously, but I'm just saying it'll be a good thing to be like, fuck all you guys. This is way cooler.
Yeah, she clearly is the anchor for him. I mean, God, and what a solid woman. Like, a lot of people would be like, just get off the stupid internet and go get a job, right? You know what I mean? They'd be like, all right, enough playing on the internet, just enough, But she didn't. She kept telling him to keep going, to stand his ground. Good for her. Well, you know what they say: behind every successful man is a great woman. So.
That's true. Or vice versa. I guess it depends on who does.
True.
All right, here we go.
That can kind of stabilize you, because in the first couple of days, my wife and my therapist were like checking in on me because obviously they didn't know what I might do, because I would just kind of sit around. And being able to hold on to that, I think, was helpful. Also, we got done with the therapy session, and I had a phone call with my parents, and my mom was like just a couple of really good, wise mom sayings. And that really stabilized me. So, maybe talk to people that can do that are, because it's like that comfort food, right? People should have some sort of a support system, somebody they can turn to ground them and to tether them to something, because you're going to feel completely untethered from everything that you thought you could count on. And then the thing, so with the Me Too movement, as someone who was a victim and didn't know what to do or who to talk to, me being quiet about it, like if I was a 16-year-old that existed right now, I cannot imagine me looking at my former self and being like, you should do, don't say anything, and then blast them on Twitter in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would say that.
Right.
Why? Because I would say, listen, this is a terrible thing that's happened to you, and that's exposing yourself like a nerve in a way that's not healthy. You would want that person, I would want that past version of myself to seek professional help, go to the authorities, do what's necessary. And I know everyone says, but the authorities are notorious for not handling these situations properly. Personally, I feel like that is true, but it also feels like a cop-out. It feels like, oh, well, because the system fails us, let's just reject the system and make our own system.
And use Twitter instead, because that's way better.
Right. Like, should we all become Dexter because sometimes people don't get good convictions in the justice system? Like, we can't all become vigilantes, so this is a form of vigilante justice. I personally think public accusations against people is a form of cybercrime, because what you're essentially doing is immediately putting that person into financial undue harm. The only way they can respond to the public accusation is a public defense with evidence, which most people aren't going to have. Like, do you record? Do you wear a GoPro everywhere you go? No? Well, then You're probably not going to have evidence about claims made in instances like this. And friends of ours, they had like a relative that went through this. A woman wrote a blog post, used his full name, made all these claims, and he immediately has to spend thousands of dollars in legal fees to try to shut it down and to defend himself. So he's immediately put into undue harm, and he's now sort of permanently, if anybody Googles his name, right, he goes for a job interview or something, that's out there, unverified in the ethos. And I think it's a form of, I don't want to go so far as to say it's cyber terrorism, but if somebody broke into my bank account and stole all my money and stole my ID and destroyed my business, what would we call that? We would call that a crime. Doing it publicly with an accusation, I actually don't think it's not a hop, skip, and a jump that far from it. I believe that these platforms are going to have to undergo some sort of, I don't know what you would even call it, but like regulatory thing where there was recently like a congressional meeting about this, and they described it as digital Thunderdome, and that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. Like, if you would have taken my 5-year business and torched it, and torched my inventory and torched my records and all of my customers so that I lost everything and couldn't recoup any of it. Like, obviously people are like, well, you had insurance, but think about that for a second. If somebody were to do that.
I want to address Zach's comment. Do you think this is true?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When it comes to their culture, no amount of evidence would help them.
It wouldn't stop them. It would. I don't know if he would have got repercussions or any kind of monetary compensation or what kind of repercussions it have, but they still would have kept going. They would still multiply. And
I mean, people like us would of course try to throw that out there, mm-hmm. but the cancel culture would definitely not stop, like Kate said.
Yeah, like they just keep going. It's none of it is new. It is absolutely not new. It's just
evidence doesn't matter to them.
Yeah. It's just a centralized place on one convenient, essentially, chat room. And that's why it seems so daunting, because it's all in one place.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. And
Thank you, Zach.
He kind of proved it through this whole hour that there was no fighting. There's nothing he could do. No matter what evidence he tried to provide, it just doesn't matter.
The only thing he was fighting at the same time was himself and maintaining control. That's all he could do.
Yep. Like you said, what are we going to wear, body cams and stuff? I mean,
I will if you will.
That Well, you would call that what it is. That's a crime.
Right.
And that's what I think these situations are. So like, I feel like we're getting it twisted. We're like, the Me Too movement like rose out of truly corrupt people in positions of power doing things in a way where they thought their only way out was to go public because the people were too connected or had too much control over their careers. And now it's just kind of turned into, well, if the person's a victim, they should speak out and they should out the person. I was like, as someone who is a victim and cares for victims, I'm like, is that even good for them? Like, is that good for their mental health? Because of what's going to happen to them. Like, don't pretend that you're not going to get completely targeted. You could be a genuine victim and have gone through something terrible. Why would you want to go through that as well in the public? And I know people are always like, false accusations are actually incredibly rare, and they cite statistics. I'm like, I think all those statistics have to do with like when you go through the proper authorities, because there's checks and balances.
Right.
We have no way to verify how many false claims are made on Twitter. I mean, just in what happened last summer, I've already heard countless of them that were completely made up. Many of mine were completely made up or super exaggerated. In the case of yours, I know Angry Joe shut his down right away. He was like, that is.
I want to add to this. Let's all remember, what was it? Zoe Quinn, who falsely accused a man to the point where he self-deleted? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how far this stuff goes, and they don't care. Zoe Quinn's never apologized for the fake accusation. I don't think she ever has. She never will. These types have no recourse or remorse if it even costs someone their life, because it's all about them. That's where the narcissism comes in.
It's so destructive, and it just happened to someone we're close to, Deanna and I, and it ruined their business. And even though legal action was taken against the accusations and all of them were retracted, the damage was done, and the company never opened back up again. And they ended up moving to another state to start all over again because somebody wanted to cancel somebody here. And it got started really because somebody was afraid that their boyfriend would get mad that they had had an affair with this person.
It's unbelievable, and they're basically they've been bulletproof to this point.
Well, that's the problem, is that we, as a culture, we've got to stop this making people who allege things outside of the legal system, making them bulletproof. We got to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If they go through the legal system, there you go. But the minute they take it to the court of public opinion, they need to be taken down just like anybody. Proof. If you don't have proof, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true, because if the allegations come out there and Twitch is actually found to believe that.
Well, you're still talking about an investigation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but like you said, right away you're put thousands of dollars in the hole just getting securing a lawyer, paying a
and that's what happened here, and it was all false, every bit of it.
Right.
With this person we knew, and but the damage was done, and they paid thousands of dollars.
Right. To get basically nowhere, right?
Yeah, to have their company closed and having to move to another state.
Right. Right.
And they were innocent.
It's terrifying. It really is.
Here we go.
It's not true. He had receipts. He shut it down immediately. So it's like there's no way to verify that. Like there's no statistic for this. We're in uncharted territory where there are bad people that exist and bad things happen, but I don't think this is the way out of the wilderness. This feels like we're diving deeper into a chasm that is actually worse, and you're destroying lives. Like who knows what would have happened to me if I wasn't able to bounce back, or if I didn't have a support system. And the cognitive dissonance is baffling to me. A week after they do this to me, some of these same people are out there virtue signal tweeting and saying we should be careful with what we do and what we say. And it's like, do you actually know, like, the cognitive dissonance there? There's like two brains in your head. Like, don't you see
There's
And then they
no
want to say, oh, it's
brain.
accountability. It's accountability. And I'm like, I don't understand who's holding you accountable for false claims or exaggerated stories or just things that are completely made up. It's like there is no accountability because this is not an actual like due process doesn't exist. And then when someone mentions due process or evidence, people will say, this is not a court of law.
No shit.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole
Wow.
point. Is it's like you're taking justice into your own hand. We don't have a great track record with like taking justice in our own hands and thinking like, you know, you go back to Salem witch trials. I mean,
Yep.
we don't have a great track record. So like, why is social media suddenly like this is the ideal place to like out people and drag them and ruin them financially? I don't know where it comes from, but there was a great video on cancel culture where the guy was like, they feel that they have the moral high ground, so nothing they do is wrong.
Right. And I find the people that utilize cancel culture the most, I would question how many skeletons they have in their closet, if I'm being totally honest. Because there is one thing, and I know that we're definitely way over our time. So, but very, very quickly, there was this one instance of, so during my, I don't know, 4th time of getting canceled through the Twitch community, I had a bunch of creators cancel me because of who I voted for. And it was very interesting because they were canceling me, and I look at it as just online bullying. I find no difference in comparison here. And only a few weeks prior, these same folks were raising money for anti-bullying awareness.
Like I said, it's cognitive dissonance.
Yes.
On the note of like skeletons in the closet, like I didn't go scorched earth, and I could have.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never wanted to stoop to that level. Because I could have outed skeletons, I could have pulled things and drug things into the light.
Right.
And I never wanted to do it that way. I just wanted to defend myself and be like, this is the truth. I've always wanted the truth to come out. I don't want I actually believe some of these, and know that some of these people have been harassed, and people in positions of power have abused that power. And I think some of this is transference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to quickly add Zach's. The thing is, it might be a coordinated group there, but the thing is, even if people aren't even part of the group that tried to do this thing or tried to cancel them, there are people who are just listening to what is going on, and they don't understand the whole truth because the whole truth isn't out there. So they also could just be believing whatever the main wave of the story is. And eventually those people will start realizing that, whoa, there's a lot more going on that I was unaware of. And the people that believe some of the stuff will actually come back and either start apologizing or start listening to what the actual facts of the story is. There are people with conscience and a conscience as well as like the goodwill. But if there's such a huge narrative saying one thing, it's hard to see whether or not the people you've known for so long are lying to your face or not. It's that persona aspect, right? Getting through that glimmer effect of what a person is and what they're saying and whether or not it's always real or always true. So there is probably people with a conscience, but it's getting through to the actual people with a conscience that could also have been enveloped in the lie without realizing it. Am I crazy on that one?
No, what you described is kind of, being indoctrinated into a cult in a way. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is. It is a religion, this cancel culture.
Yeah. It does
It's a
function
cult.
that way.
Yep.
It is. It's also a symptom of how Twitter in particularly how it works, because whatever you put out there, anyone can see. They've slowly started to curb that, but only in the last year and a half. And I guess they think they want to have a monetized system that will just crush their sad little business anyway. So please get to that, so people will go somewhere else. Really.
I would love Twitter to monetize.
Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious because no one's going to participate. I mean, get real. But that's the thing, is that everyone can see everything, and that you are never just talking to who you're thinking talking to. And all these people don't realize that. Or I shouldn't say all of these. A lot of people do not realize that's how it works.
Right.
I agree. I love having you guys on here giving different perspectives and similar perspectives. And I have a small
And
video
so,
after
like,
this to
there's a
play.
concern I have there. It's like you're not going to sort of be free of this until like you actually sort of tell the truth. But that's all I ever wanted it to be about. Like, I never wanted to be like, take their channels and take their money. Like,
Right.
no, like, I don't care about that. Like, I would just want the truth to come out, and I would also hope that they would do the right thing. Like, they would sort of see that they've perpetuated a problem, not solved one. And so, yeah, that's something that people have always wanted me to do. They're like, do just go scorched earth, do a tell-all, and I almost did very many times.
Does his body language look like he's protective in a way, the way he's crossing his arms and he's kind of like not making eye contact to the screen as much? Do you think he's kind of getting a little antsy over this now?
Yeah, probably. Generally,
I
that's
think
how it works.
I wonder if he's worried about what the blowback is going to be from this past hour.
Maybe.
You know, maybe he's getting a little nervous, like he knows this is going to drop now. It's coming to the end, and he's like, now I'm going to get pushback from this.
Right, but if they don't have the same, you have to keep in mind, if they don't have the same audience, he's going to be gaining a huge audience.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there is pushback, there will be pushback to the pushback.
Yeah, well, I think it's important that he seems genuine. You know, just watching this, I believe 90% of what he's saying. I'm sure he's protecting a few untruths, but for the most part, I think he's innocent.
And I'm glad that I didn't, because
Yeah,
I just think that just muddies the waters and makes it worse. It just turns it into like mudslinging, and then it's like now I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And plus, I don't believe in rewarding bad people or bad behavior rather with publicity. I don't believe in that.
That's always the thought process too. Is like now their name's going to be in lights and in articles and this and that, and it's like I'm not interested in that. You know, it's just the feeling that need of like defense is the biggest preoccupation that like I'm sort of left with. It's like YouTube's going great. I got multiple channels and different things I'm doing, and everyone's like, just put it behind you. Everything's going great. But like, it's like that lingering like stain and cloud. It's so hard to not think about it and want to like try to bat at it, like get it out of here. But
it takes time. It takes time. You got to be patient with yourself. And what I try to tell creators now that are coming to me for cancel culture, or they're worried about cancel culture or anything like that, is like it's inevitable. You're gonna get canceled, and you're probably gonna get canceled 4 more times after this, if I'm being honest with you. So it's one of those things. It's like, now is the time to train your brain. So when it happens again, it's just like you bounce back immediately. Whenever I see someone talking shit online, I just laugh. I'm like, aha! And I got nothing else to say, because you know why? I got stuff to do. I got videos to make. I have money to make. I can't be dealing with this nonsense. So
Right.
I mean, and like I said, in your situation, and for anyone watching this too, again, I'm not the judge, the jury, none of that. My point being, and the whole point of any of these videos that you're going to find on this channel, is that cancel culture cannot be used as a tool for accountability, because at the end of the day, it's random people, and a lot of the times it's people that have no direct connection to the problem. You know, a bunch of people making stories and saying, oh yes, I'm somehow connected to this because of a message that I sent to him 5 years ago. You're not helping. You're creating a bigger problem out of nothing. And if it's actually a serious problem, then people should take it seriously and not use Twitter. That's not how you solve things. Sorry. Yeah. But that's gonna be it for this video. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we go?
I guess I would just encourage anybody watching this, like, maybe always second guess like what you're hearing, because I don't know. In like the 2 years that people were saying stuff about me, like nobody ever came to me and talked to me and like asked me what was going on. And just remember that everything escalates. So if you are going to put something out there on Twitter, just know how much it's going to escalate. Like, a lot of what was said about me gets escalated into bigger things than it was. And so people need to know the risk involved there, and that social media is a machine that feeds on escalation. It feeds on hyperbole, and you got to know you're going to say this guy yelled at me and he's going to be a murderer 10 days later. Like it just absolutely escalates. So I would just encourage people to think that way, and just, I guess, try to be more discerning. Like when you hear something about somebody or read something about somebody on Twitter, how much it's probably been escalated by that natural sort of process. It's like a telephone game that's very horrible and destructive. You know, and you're not gaining anything by attacking, like, because people were like trying to like go after the people that, you know, did this to me. And I'm like, you're not gaining anything. You're doing the very thing that we don't want people to do. So you're never helping me or Gothics or anybody by like going to war for us on Twitter. You're like perpetuating the lack of nuance and like the like dichotomous, like over-polarized scenario. If you want to support people like Gothics or myself, it's best just to like do that, like support, show up for streams, be dope, be awesome, but don't go down into the muck and the mire, because, you know, what's the saying, like, don't ever stoop to the level of like fighting an idiot, because they're gonna beat you at it, like they're better at it than you.
I've never heard of that one.
There's something like that. It's like, don't stoop to the level of fighting an idiot, because they're better at it. They're gonna beat you at that game, and then you're gonna have wasted your time.
I like that.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's like with trolls. Trolls don't have power unless you give them power. They have no power of their own.
Yeah.
They only have power that is granted to them. And the same thing happens in this scenario. Like, don't grant these people power. Just try to support the people that you think are worthy of it, and do it in a way that isn't like that, like going out and being combative and nasty.
Right. Exactly. Well,
there is a
Lono,
point
it has
that
been a pleasure speaking with you today.
100%. There is a lot of power in retweeting hate, because when you point out that someone is a moron to a large group of people, then everyone knows that they are a moron. And it takes a certain kind of personality, like Michael Malice does it all the time. He just laughs at these fucking idiots all the time, and it works. But in a circumstance when we're talking about things that are not just like points of view, I guess, it's not necessary, but it's also, it has a place, and you got to be the right person to do it. And if it's not fun, don't fucking do it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, as a kid, my godfather, who's also an Irish priest, he would say to me, he says, don't go fighting them, Gary. Just mock them.
Yep.
That's where you hurt them the most.
Yep.
Mock them.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah,
the only
it's true.
thing, there's like, I think Kurt Schlichter wouldn't be anywhere near as successful if it wasn't for Twitter. And that's not to say he isn't good at what he does and the multifaceted things he does. It's just, he's so perfect at making these little dipshits exposed. And he just, like, even all he'll do is like, your mom jokes. And like, it's just perfect.
Yeah, I after when I do engage one or two of them now and then, I just usually cut it off at some point and say, let's agree to disagree. Have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. Oh, they hate that.
Exactly.
Yeah, God bless you, child. Bless your little soul. Yeah, I don't interact with them at all. I learned really quickly that you know, it's trying to have a conversation with someone who's absolutely batshit crazy is completely pointless. And it's a frustration. You're just frustrating yourself. You're increasing your own personal anxiety interacting with them. I just make fun of them and move on. I get called a troll for it, but I don't fucking care. I mean,
like, it's I just recently I noticed some interesting interactions, and I talked to a person that was involved who I've known on Twitter for a very long time. I've met them, and it's like, you know, once things get dissolved to talking points, I'm just, it's the agree to disagree, nice talking with you, and they walk away. And it's like, that's fine. So I'm watching this from the outside, I'm thinking like, fuck, you have so much in common. Please stop arguing. So, and it's funny because I totally get where people are like freaking out and oh my God. It's like, but in reality, if someone has like a newer account, very few follows or whatever, don't give them, don't even acknowledge their existence. It's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
stupid waste of your time. And there are other people who do poke fun at those people, and they do a better job. And
Right.
let them have fun.
Yeah, I usually hover over, and if they've got 20, 15, 10 followers or whatever, I know they're a sock puppet. I don't
Right.
know,
Yeah.
Yep.
but
It's like I find GIFs are a great way of, or I even make my own memes. Like
Yes.
Steven does it too.
I
that
make
just-
memes. Holy shit!
Yeah,
Call
You're
somebody.
a
who cares.
meme.
You're an
meme
M&M. You're a meme
machine.
maker.
Meme machine.
And
No, it's a cramp
meme
song.
machine. Okay, there you go.
It's not mean, but meme. Oh,
Meme
God.
machine.
Yeah, it's
Or
funny.
triple M, meme making machine.
Yeah, it's true. But okay, never mind. Oh, my lyrical genius is always
Yeah.
so bored.
Hold on, we're almost done. We got like a couple more seconds. I got something else I
Sorry.
want to share. Don't apologize.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm sure we're going to get lots of interesting comments, but you're not going to look for them, right? You're not going to look for
No, yeah. We'll
so
just let the
fun.
video exist.
It's just going to exist. Don't look at it. Just don't look.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching another segment of Cancel the Culture. My name is Gothics, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
That was a great video. I'm glad you invited me to join.
I honestly love some of her stuff, but I found a video. I clipped it earlier. I actually have the day of when he got banned from Destiny by the developer ban, and the reason why I have this is because it's not gonna let me share audio. Give me a second. I'm gonna upload this quickly. Give me a second. But what were you guys' thoughts on the whole situation coming from an outside point of view?
Par for the course, I suppose. I mean, if you rise up in ranks quick, you are going to be a target in any industry now. Anything. And I would say to the fact that Gothics comes from a corporate retail like world, it's interesting having worked in an environment where a very spoiled person was a manager. And my direct manager and I would butt heads with that person all the time, and it was even told at points where like, yeah, you'd be better at her job than she is. I'm like, well, fuck, I don't want to be here, so is what it is, and that's that. There's so much of that toxicity in any field, and all you have to recognize that if you can handle that bullshit, you can handle anything.
Yeah.
And that's hard to realize. It was hard on me. It will be hard on anyone.
I do suggest giving the actual video if you want to hear without us acting like dicks. But I appreciate you guys. We're gonna show this now because this clip, this hit me. This is why I say
A little bit of a different start to my normal streams. I'm not gonna do like the intro and tell you that there's timestamps below and a link to my upload channel. So I have been really banned. I can pull up the game and show you. So I'm not faking you out here. I opened up Steam this morning. It said that I had been banned from Destiny 2 permanently, that it was not a VAC ban. It was a developer ban. Thank you, Storm White, for the membership. And I went to my email. I received no email. So I don't even know how to appeal it. I can log in to Bungie.net. I can still see all my characters. I can see my 7-year-old account that I have. I've played this game since the beta.
same as I have.
I'm just really like tired, man. I was feeling really good yesterday. I was feeling really good. Rode the bike and like my blood pressure's been better and been playing this game since the beta. And I decided that instead of like trying to gloss over it and just move forward with some stupid stream, I didn't even do my intro. I called Creature. I was like, dude, what am I supposed to do?
This is heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Look at the nervous energy he's bouncing.
He's trying not
I
to
just
cry.
want to be left alone, you know? Like, I have a family, and I just want to, like...
That's what cancel culture
I
works.
just
They
wanna
don't leave
play
you alone.
video games and
They
talk
want
to
your
you
soul.
guys.
What's worse?
I
is
know.
that
I've
they
seen
force Earth
your
to move
links,
on to the next
Noberto.
one.
I've
That's the sad part.
I saw what you put in the Discord. That's a 3-month-old ban on that guy. I don't think they're just randomly dev banning people by accident. What am I supposed to do? I can't appeal it. They tell you to go to bungie.net/ban, and when I do that, there's nothing there. It's like I'm not banned, but I am banned. It's like I'm not banned. It's like I am banned, but I'm not. So here's the game. Here's the game. Not so fast. This account has been banned. For more information, please go to bungie.net ban. I don't have an email from Bungie. From the TOS, Bungie reserves the right in its sole discretion to terminate your access to any or all Bungie services and the related services or any portion thereof at any time without notice.
This was
It's
earlier.
got to be a
today.
mistake. I tried it on my Xbox.
Sorry?
This was earlier today. It says 13.
No,
hours.
no, that's where I recorded it. This was,
Okay.
I believe, a week or so ago.
Jesus. That's still very recent.
It is really recent. But the reason why I kept that thing, not because I get off on like unhappiness, it's because it was like another thing that got taken away. And the thing that's funny is one of the people that are like on this bandwagon for the canceling and all that stuff and the accusations is actually married to a Bungie developer.
So, how can
So
we?
extra shady.
Definitely extra shady. So, and these developers and these cons and all the people there are now in like that are all their stories are falling apart, right? They've been blocking Upper Echelon. They've been blocking probably Gothics. They've been blocking everyone who's doing an investigation into this to find the truth, even if they've had no interaction with them. So, if you have nothing to hide and your accusations are true, why are you hiding and blocking anyone who wants to hear your side again? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious covering of your tracks, isn't it?
Yeah, it pretty much is. But I didn't want to depress anyone here. I just want to get so like this is how much it can hurt a person. Like they had to take away the game, they had to take away other stuff, and it's like they'll never be satisfied. But you still got to hold your ground. He's still pushing through. He's doing his gaming. He's still doing his other stuff. He's still progressing. He's still being himself, and his channels are showing it. And I'm hoping that other people who might eventually get in the target of cancel culture realize you don't have to give up, but don't apologize, because that's the first mistake.
I don't know if you see this this chat post by Zach. Says her husband, the dev, posted a taunt immediately after.
He did. He said it was a Nokia phone saying bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah,
Well,
I remember. Yeah.
That's an odd
nothing
choice.
planned there.
Right, but that's a funny choice because most people don't realize that the summer that Nokia boasted being top dog, they were dismantled by Apple that year, like in the fall, completely taken down. So that might be a little bad, you know. What's the right word? Not karma, but along that line, might come back to haunt them.
And to the panel. You guys, you've been great. I'm glad I have fresh eyes here who know nothing about what's happened. They know nothing about Lono. They don't even know who he is until I've been sharing stuff like this, because if a normie not in this community can see that this doesn't fit right for people who can't see what's going on, go back and also watch the Upper Echelon coverage we did, I think it was a week or two ago, for those on those panel. But it's
the one thing we do walk into this with is, because we're not walking in here completely dumb of it. It's just an extension, a new extension of the same shit of cancel culture.
Yeah, right. I agree.
And we all have our opinions already of it, which is pretty much weird. I mean, oddly, we're pretty much an echo chamber of our own when it comes to cancel culture. But
are we an echo chamber, or are we the? No, I'm not an echo chamber.
Because I totally am okay with these tactics being flipped onto these idiots.
Well, I do too, and that's why I don't mind it. I don't think it's bad, Kate, that we are kind of an echo chamber when it comes to our basic shared sentiment.
Right. No, I didn't realize you agreed with me. That's because a lot of people get all defensive, but then when I point out that's exactly what Project Veritas does.
No, I agree.
15 years, then well, that's cool, because most people think I'm crazy.
No, payback's a bitch, right?
Exactly.
And I've been warning people about this, for a long time. And early 2020, about a year ago at this time, people were telling me I was being an alarmist, and they were like, "Oh, stop falling in. That's clickbait stuff." And I'm like, "No, this is going to get worse.
Yep.
If we don't start standing up to this, it's going to get worse."
You know what's interesting? A friend of mine, who like, she's one of my best friends. She did an article on Twitch and how it's actually fun entertainment, but she's coming from a perspective of listening to mostly music and watching what's that stupid farm game? Animal something. I don't know.
Animal Crossing?
Yeah, there's makeup for it. Like, I just like, that's all I fucking know about it. And so she's like, yeah, well, I like this, and this one's pretty cool. And I'm like, okay, but just be careful, because there's hoes on there. And it's like, yeah, I know. I made sure to tell people to go to these places. And I'm just like, because she's essentially writing to normies who would never in a million years think of checking out a place where all my kids go there. And now they might reconsider letting their kids just do whatever on their parents' phone or tablets and shit. But it'll eventually get to the point where no one will listen to these psychos and things will turn on them, and then you can't cancel us. It's like, well, we're just ignoring you, and you're hanging yourselves with the rope you insisted on having.
Well, exactly, because basically the internet gave them their platform. These assholes have been around for forever.
Oh yeah.
We knew them in high school, and we ignored them. We made fun of them. We ignored them, and of course, they had no power. But the internet gave them power, because the minute they got a platform like Twitter or whatever, because I remember seeing this shit going on in the late 2000s on Facebook, and I'm like, guys, stop listening to these people. Stop sharing their shit. Yep. That's not a legitimate argument that they're making, but that's it. They, crazy people congregate.
Yeah. To be a great band name.
Are you laughing, Kate?
Yeah, she is.
But I mean, they're intellectually bankrupt, and you can find, because like, as much as I enjoy certain people, because like Freddie Prinze Jr. was brought up, because I've always enjoyed him, and then he opened his mouth about his personal beliefs, and it was like, oh, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Same thing with Ben Affleck when he tried to say that Islam is a race.
I was a good
on
time.
Bill Maher's. I just laughed so hard. Like, how are they not?
I remember.
How are they not wrecking? And they did kind of wreck him on the show, But Ben was just showing just how fucking intellectually
I love it.
vacant he is.
But that was so much fun.
They
Like,
don't share the same Earth we do.
They
Those
don't.
celebrities. They
Well, no, their Earth is flat. Remember that. So that's why. The point is, their idiocy reaches a certain point where they just fall off the edge of their Earth, and even as they're falling off their Earth and realizing I just fell onto Earth, still because it's not flat, they're still claiming it's flat.
Yeah.
It's falls back into something because actor Jeremy Roberts, he's the first guy on the commercial for the credit card that says "What's in your wallet?" And he did the very first commercial, and we go back a long way. And I did this interview with him where he opened up about the Vietnam War and his experiences, and after the interview, he's like, "How did you do that? And you got me to open up and talk." And I said, "I used the skill that I was taught as a paramedic when dealing with crazy people, because actors are basically just crazy people." And he just started laughing. And
in crazy people's defense, I need that tactic used on me when having blood tests, because otherwise I have a full-on panic attack, which is so much fun.
Well, you know what I find that worked for me helping people who had that problem is get them to tell a joke and look away.
Yeah. No, a couple years ago, I had a young kid and then a very much older gentleman who he was shadowing, and the kid's like, "Oh, I've done like, how many times have you done this?" "Oh, like 100. What is that, a day?" And I'm freaking out. And so I made him uncomfortable accidentally, and then the older gentleman he's shadowing just does it, and I'm like, and I say to the kid, it's like, this is really important too, being able to distract me, because this is not fun. And he calmed down a bit. I'm just like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry."
God, yeah. I love that drawing of Fat Steven. That is great.
Yeah, I know. Captain Murphy with his belly hanging out. But I have to give a shout out to not only Gothics, but Say No to Rage, because both of them contributed on an interview that was not only emotional, but it was honest and opening. And a lot of people, it's hard to be like that. And the people in the chat that has dropped by, whether it be a like, shared it out, or even just gave their comments, I thank you. I also give a shout out to RNG Jesus from Twitter, because I know he's and other people like Upper Echelon and the like are all doing their own type of investigations, and not only trying to fight for him, but they're just trying to fight for the truth of the actual matter. And I think more people out there need to hear that and understand that there's one side, there's the other side, and then there's the actual truth. And as Gina Carano says, everyone's trying to destroy my life with lies and false accusations, but I can only destroy them with the truth. And that's pretty much what's going to happen. It might take a while. It might cost a lot of things to people, but you got to stay strong. You got to hold your ground. And you know what, Lono, man, I give you much respect. If you ever hear this, your wife is one strong woman, and she's definitely been an amazing support for you. And you're a lucky man. Your family's lucky to have you just as much as you're lucky to have them. I think you are a good man at heart, and I hope you hear that in the future. What do you guys think? Any thoughts?
I thought you were sucking up a little bit, but that's good.
I'm not sucking up. I'm a member of this channel. You know what? It's not sucking up. Like, you guys all expect me to be the meme, right? But it's not about the meme all the time. It's not all about the joke. It's serious, man, because he had to go out there and share himself. And I watch his streams in the morning, right? I like the music he plays in the back.
You're a Hufflepuff.
I think that's really
look. You want? I'll put lipstick on and kick all your fucking asses. I swear to fucking God.
Why would you put lipstick on to kick asses?
Well, because he called me a butt kisser. I might as well kick ass and take names. Sorry, kiss ass and take names.
No.
I think what you said is profoundly important. I think that what he said is profoundly important. I think what she said, whatever her name is, the host of that show,
Gothics. It says it right there. Gothics. Yes.
I don't see it.
Vanessa, I think, is her real name.
Vanessa.
Yeah, Vanessa. Yes.
I just subscribed to her. I'm going to be checking that channel out a lot because that's one sharp lady right there. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's had a lot of other cool interviews and been on other cool interviews. She's a good time. If
She's-
you
she
can
was
find her like original intro for Twitch, that was fucking hilarious, and it's no wonder she just blew up. So.
Wait. I gotta hide this quickly. Wait, are you offering to hurt us with stilettos, Max?
I just saw that. That's great.
She wants you to see you in stilettos. That's
I thought she wanted to see me in lipstick.
stilettos.
Jedi 6 says I like to kick the mood in the nuts.
Hold on, what was that, Captain Murphy?
But if this is crazy, babe, I don't want to be sane. I'm in love with you, Wendy.
Oh, Captain!
God, I love him.
But nah. Gothix is amazing, very intelligent. I agree. She's very smart and very to the point. Upper Echelon is the same way. I would love to see those two team up and do a video one time because it would be pretty awesome. I am not a Slay Queen. What is this supposed to mean? What is this shit?
Yeah, I'm
Is this
impressed by Gothix, especially, she said she was canceled 4 times, and she's very strong, and she's got a really healthy perspective on the whole thing.
Yeah, you're only canceled if they turn off your channel and you go home with your toys.
True.
That's it.
See, why can't we direct the cancel culture in general instead of doing accusations? Just go after things like Star Trek Discovery.
Right, exactly. You got
Well, they
flip
defend
the
that
script
crap.
on them. No, you got to flip the script on them. So you got if they have a new season greenlit or whatever stupid shit, right?
Oh, strange new breeze.
Whatever, exactly. But every episode there's something really stupid. You just lambast it. I mean, for fuck's sake, Az has a climbing top hit for a meh genre of music, and it's really good. So that's how you win. That's all you got to do. Make fun.
So you're
of
saying
shit.
we have to record a song, Kate, and we all have to sing?
It's-
So you need to get that Care Bear voice, and we'll be that Care Bear,
Maybe we should use reverse psychology and start saying how much
yes.
we love Star Trek Discovery.
No,
we love The Last Jedi, and then they'll say no, it sucks. They'll flip it.
No, they won't. They're not
And
that.
then they'll get
be
rid of
like,
it.
"Good, you've come to our side. How good!"
Exactly.
It's
wow, that was a new voice I haven't heard before. That was great.
You're a weirdo.
Yeah,
Anyway,
thank you.
But I personally think music is the fastest way to combat things. That's why I brought up that lovely single. But at least these days it's among the fastest. This is pretty poignant as well. It's just you get an earworm out there and things will start to change. So
I think it's going to change, but it's going to take a while. It might not be our
course.
generations in general, but we're starting to get a realization, and people are starting to smarten up. Their eyes are opening up because it's even if you don't believe the accusations, getting swept up in the accusations and the drama of a story or whatever it is, drama seems to sell just as much as sex sells now. You know what I mean? It's the same
absolutely.
type of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's now everyone wants to be the Keemstar, but also everyone wants to be the person who finds the fault with the Keemstar at the same time, and it's very hard to differentiate whether or not you want to be yourself or you just want to be the person that gets the clicks. And no offense, man, but if you're gonna go on the way of cancel culture for clicks and clout and popularity at the cost of one man or one woman's or however you identify soul, you're the demon incarnate in that story. And you can tell yourself you're doing this, you're virtue signaling that, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be as empty as a gargoyle on top of a building. And that's something I don't ever want to live as.
what about the ones that come to life?
That's only Zool, and I will beat a bitch before that happens.
don't
If
like
that happens, no, I do like gargoyles. I love that cartoon. But honestly, if I see a gargoyle come into life, the first thing I'm throwing at is Melissa McCarthy. I'm going, here, you deal with this. You're a Ghostbuster. I'm out, bitches. Fuck that shit.
As a duly authorized representative of the state and city of New York, I would like you to remove yourself to the nearest plane of existence.
Yeah, and I'd also like to apologize to Lono if you do see this in the future. I'm sorry that I screenshot your hair poofy like that. I didn't mean it to be like that. I'm looking at it, it's like, that looks like I want the Jaws music to start
It
playing.
almost looks like a bun.
Well, no, it's like a pump.
Yeah, I got the worst picture.
But
I
it
got the
might
worst.
just.
Pompadour, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not in denial. I have to have something to be denial in. But you guys have been great. There's 19 people here. I'm glad that people have showed up and watched this. I hope you watch this on the replay. I'm going to try to focus more in on cancel culture across everything as it comes out, especially if it's Lono, Lono, Hunter. But thank you. Yeah, it's Lono. Yes, I know how to spell Lono. Yes, Lano. But I want people to understand that cancel culture is a virus. Gina Carano is a main example. Lono is another one. There's probably more out there. But I'm not saying that every time you hear an accusation, it's automatically false. But do some digging, because other people are. And the more you dig, the more the truth comes out. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Mr. Tickle Trunk.
Hey, Tickle. I'm not your trunk. Sorry. But thank you, guys. This has been great. I love
Yeah,
doing
thanks for
these types
having
of
us,
shows.
man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it,
Anytime. Anytime, man. And honestly, I'll say this out. If he does watch it, Lono, this is the type of stuff I like doing. You're always welcome just to talk, share. Even if it doesn't even have to be about this. If you just want to share about yourself ever, you're always welcome on this channel, man. You got people that are probably not only sub to you now, but they're also sub to Gothics because of the way you deliver this. So you can smash that like, you can smash that cake, or in Mags' terms, you can put on lipstick and stilettos and go all ape shit for all I care. But I'm going to sign out with 2 small videos before we do. I appreciate everyone for coming. But can you feel this?
No. Can you feel it when I do this? No. Can you feel it when I do this? No. Can you feel it when I do this? No. Can you feel it when I do this? No.
Hey, idiots! What time is it?
Exactly 3:14.
I missed that show. I gotta start watching it.
I have every episode on there, and I have the filters working now. So we're going to call it a night. It's been great. It's been fun. Catch the replay. I am Fat Steven. This is my panel of sociopaths. Y'all take it easy. I'm out. Sorry, I couldn't hear you over my own ego, Kate.
Go fuck yourself.
It doesn't work like that. I need someone with lipstick and a stiletto to fuck myself.
Yeah, I'm down with